Good morning again. I'm going to talk to you guys today about the Green Era Renewable Energy and Urban Farming Campus and how we will transform waste into energy, jobs, food, and healthy neighborhoods. From a very high level, essentially what the campus will do is that we will increase organics recycling by processing organic waste for food waste, and this is inedible food waste, to produce renewable energy and nutrient-rich compost to expand fresh local food production. So the compost that we're producing will actually go to urban farms in and around the city of Chicago. Now, really, the campus will really improve sustainability, strengthen local food systems, supply chains, increase access to local food, and drive equitable economic development in an underserved community. Currently, we have a very linear economy, and it's truly very unsustainable. We take resources from the earth, we make things, and we typically waste them. We really need to decouple this economic activity from the consumption of very finite resources, as we're seeing now, and get to a much more circular economy. Another huge problem that we have is food waste. It's the number one thing sent to landfills and is the most under-recycled component of the waste stream. Currently, Chicago doesn't recycle nearly any food waste, and it is all going to landfills, creating lots of methane gas and other contaminants. Another problem we have, and this is particularly acute to urban farming and anybody who gardens or wants to do local food production, is urban soil. It's compacted, it lacks nutrients, it's contaminated, there's lots of construction debris. If you're gonna grow healthy plants, healthy food, you need healthy soil. And soil is often the forgotten whole in our food chain. And soil is truly key to expanding our food system. If we have access to this fundamental piece, we can grow lots of healthy food, healthy gardens, and create more sustainable environments. And our solution to this issue is a technology called anaerobic digestion. It's a safe and proven technology that has the power to transform local food systems. There are literally tens of thousands of anaerobic digesters throughout the world, mostly in Europe, that are processing food waste. You often see anaerobic digesters here at wastewater treatment plants that process the water and the sludge that come out of it. Our particular digester is unique in that we're only going to be taking food waste. So again, this is inedible food waste that would typically go to a landfill. We will put into an anaerobic digester, which is essentially a big tank. That tank operates in the absence of oxygen, and little microorganisms break down that food waste, very similar to the microorganisms that are actually in a cow's stomach. And through that process, we get two byproducts. One is renewable energy, and that renewable energy is in the form of biogas, which you have lots of optionality in terms of what you can do. You can create electricity with it, you can create bioplastics with it, but what we'll be doing is actually injecting it into the grid to create something called renewable natural gas. So like the gas you use when you light your stove and cook your food, or to heat your home in the boilers, we'll be producing a renewable form of renewable natural gas. So a great opportunity to offset your natural gas usage, whether you're at home, you're a company that wants to reduce your carbon footprint. We'll be the only project in Illinois doing so. After you pull out all the energy of the food waste and pull out all the renewable natural gas, you're essentially left with compost and fertilizer that we critically need for our urban farming operations. Another wonderful piece of this project is the huge jobs creation opportunity. In the planning, design, and construction, we'll create close to 250 jobs in the creation of the actual facility. Once operational, we'll have over 25 full-time equivalent staff once we're at full capacity that will do things like operate the digester, give tours, educational pieces, compost processing, and really a focus of what we're doing is really creating equitable jobs, good paying jobs, in a very underserved community. Another benefit of the project is that there's going to be lots of external job partners. So these are new entrepreneurial opportunities and businesses that will be able to expand as a result of this new green economy that we're creating, as well as new jobs that are nonprofit that we're connected with called Urban Growers Collective. Urban growers, as they expand, as they create new farms, will need more folks to work on those farms, to grow, to educate, to learn, and to expand. And we're very focused on engaging minority, women's business enterprises, and hiring from hard to employ populations is an absolute priority of the project. This is the project. the Green Era Renewable Energy and Urban Farming Campus located in Auburn, Gresham, in South Chicago. It's a 9-acre campus. This was a 9-acre vacant, contaminated site that we've cleaned up. The project consists of several different elements. The large building on the left there is where the food waste will come in. A truck will pull into that facility. The facility will process all the food waste in there. And what's really unique about our project is that building is sealed and actually operates at a slight negative pressurization. So all the air in the building will be treated. There won't be any odors or anything in there. It's a big investment, and what we're doing is to be able to have this in a dense urban environment, very similar to what occurs in Europe and how they process organics. We'll also be able to depackage organics in this facility. So it makes it very easy for a university, a home, a school, businesses to divert to us because they don't have to worry about depackaging it. We'll be doing that. The organics will then go into those large tanks in the background there. Those are the digesters. Everything is really done via underground pipes. So a lot of the processing and the movement of the materials is done in sealed pipes. The renewable natural gas will then be injected into the grid, and the compost will come off, and some will be used on the right there at the urban farm that we'll have on site. And the rest will go to our other farms throughout the community. In the front, we also have an educational campus. So that's sort of the community education piece where folks will be able to come and learn about what we're doing on campus and really directly connect in a very tangible way to what we're doing on the campus. And that's important because, we really got to show folks, why is it important to recycle that banana peel, that leftover sandwich? Well, we can show you right here what's happening, how that's being recycled into energy, compost for more local healthy food production, jobs. And then you can come buy that fresh, healthy produce that we're producing in the front. You can pick up some compost for your side lot, or maybe just have a small flower pot, but it's an alternative to buying fossil fuel-based fertilizers and really utilizing something that most folks think is a waste, something to be wasted and thrown away, but as a resource and something that we can use in our community to build the new green economy. Here's another shot of the front area. We're purposely keeping the front area very flexible so that folks, as we grow, as the community is further engaged, can really grow with new ideas, new opportunities, new educational opportunities to what we're doing, and really have it as a community learning resource for what we're doing here to really build this as a campus, and really as a reason for folks to come to the South Side, to come to Chicago, to learn about this new green economy and a really, really unique model that we've created here. And that model is really, a closed loop model. Again, moving from the very linear economy that we've had that use waste to now this circular economy where we've got this resource of all this organic waste that we're currently just throwing away. But we can use that to create renewable energy, rich, wonderful compost to grow healthy food and more jobs. And really a closed loop system with very strong community benefits that directly benefit the community. One of those large benefits is our partnership with Urban Growers Collective. Urban Growers Collective has 8 farms on over 11 acres, mostly on Chicago's South Side. And they critically need this compost to expand their local food production and economic development. Most of the urban farms they're creating are on old industrial sites, parking lots, or just on top of urban soil, where you need huge inputs of rich, safe, clean soil to grow more food. And every time you harvest, you also need more compost to grow because growing that food pulls out those nutrients. So we critically need this continual input to expand our operations and also make available for the community. Another important thing that's key to urban growers programming is all the really, really inclusive programming that they work on, from job training and education, food access, community engagement. These are all key pillars of the work they do that further strengthen the community and create new opportunities. Here's a few shots just of some of Urban Growers' farms, some of the pictures during some of the programming and engagement. We work with After School Matters. It's really, really exciting, and invite you to come check out the website, come visit us. It's really an incredible operation. Urban Growers also works closely on several city programs, 2 of which are Grounds for Peace and Fresh Moves. Grounds for Peace is working with Mayor Lightfoot on identifying high-risk vacant lots that the city owns to beautify them to reduce violence in conjunction with the Chicago Police Department. There was actually a wonderful article in this weekend in the New York Times just how they're beginning to get more and more hard data on how greening and beautifying actually reduces violence. So it really can be a key pillar in terms of reducing violence in our communities. The other program is Fresh Moves. And Fresh Moves is using decommissioned CTA buses as rolling farmers markets. So the fresh, healthy food we're growing at our various farms, as well as we supplement with things like bananas and other things that folks want, and bring it directly to folks who need it most in different food desert areas where people don't have access to fresh, healthy food. So it's a really effective way for us to get that fresh, healthy food we're growing to market and to the people who need it most. Through our work, we were also honored to be part of the Always Growing Auburn Gresham winning team of the Chicago Prize through the Pritzker Foundation last year. This was a really incredible opportunity to work with our community partner, to be part of a winning team that has really propelled the project and the community forward. And just to quickly sort of touch on some more of the community aspects of the campus, we do a lot of job training and workforce development and training folks for the new green economy. We're building new green infrastructure and environmental restoration by cleaning up a long vacant and contaminated lot, working closely with BIPOC communities and community wealth building. The community actually has ownership in the project and will benefit from its success. The Community Education Center and Food Access Program, again, educating, bringing food to the community. Working and expanding our youth programs, in particular with SIMEON Career Academy, which is a Chicago public school trade school located just up the street from the project, and working directly with those students. Environmental and social justice, cleaning up the area, social justice, and creating a closed loop cycle that we can replicate and expand in Chicago and elsewhere. We're particularly proud of our partnership with SIMEON Career Academy, that again is located right up the street from the project, to really highlight to students what's going on in their community, the kind of jobs that we're creating, and the kind of opportunities that they have, even going to secondary education like at Loyola, where we can sort of create that interest, that excitement in it in high school so that they can then continue it and use that as a stepping stone to further their education. This is truly a high impact project. Just to give you sort of perspective of the project, the Green Era project is there in the upper right. We're actually located adjacent to a Chicago Park District site where we'll be doing additional training for things like, what is this new green economy and how can I benefit from it? Well, you can create hoop houses. We can do training on that. Rain gardens. We're having more and more flooding these days. How can we utilize rain gardens to help accommodate for that with some of the compost and the growing and native plants? And then we have SIMEON Career Academy right there in the yellow, which is walking distance to the site, to really connect that educational component, to really make this a nucleus of green education, economic development, so more folks can come to the South Side, learn about what we're doing, and replicate it. And now more than ever, this is incredibly important, particularly with the coronavirus, and particularly important in terms of logistics, where the pandemic has impacted supply chains and global food systems and the food supply itself, which has particularly spotlighted the need to strengthen our local food systems and infrastructure. And the Green Era Project will do this directly by expanding local food production. So when there is disruptions, we have a very efficient food system out there, but when there are disruptions, that can really reverberate down, and you see things like empty shelves. But we need to really expand our capacity for more local food production, so we future-proof issues in the future that are only going to continue to happen more and more. This will also improve food security and nutrition to the folks who need it most in food desert communities, reduce climate impact changes. We're keeping this food out of landfills. When food breaks down in landfills, it creates methane gas that is a horrible greenhouse gas. Instead, we're capturing that gas, using it as renewable fuel, creating more food, more compost, that all helps with the green economy and reduces the impacts of climate change. It's also helping us transition to clean, renewable fuel sources, both as something that we all want to do, but also as something that makes us, in terms of a more resilient communities when there are disruptions with energy in our infrastructure. And creating jobs in underserved communities. It's critical we create these jobs. Many of these jobs have left when industry left many years ago, and we now have an opportunity to bring them back. We're also very lucky to have a governor who's now really moving forward on strong climate and equitable policy. And the Green Era Project directly supports the governor's new Climate and Equity Jobs Act. It helps put Illinois on a path for 100% clean energy and delivers carbon-free power. The renewable natural gas we're producing actually has a negative carbon impact because we're taking a waste product, keeping it out of the landfill, creating energy with it. And the way we're doing it actually has a negative carbon impact. We're creating good paying jobs, especially in BIPOC communities, and establishing nation-leading equity programs in terms of having the community actually have ownership in it so they benefit from the benefit of the project and the success of the project, and reducing pollution at a scale that science demands. Keeping this methane, this food waste, which is creating methane out of landfills, makes a really big impact. Keeping trucks from moving that waste from where it's produced in the Chicago area to far off landfills reduces that impact. And really establishing Illinois as a hub for the sustainable economy to drive our economy. We're also very excited to be working with Loyola. We started conversations back in 2007 around partnering and working together with the university. We actually have been lucky enough to host several students from the community to Loyola to really expose them to the opportunities, the educational opportunities for them to continue their education at Loyola in fields that relate to what we're doing. We're also talking with Loyola about recycling their waste at the Green Era facility, experiential educational and research opportunities for students. As we create opportunities like this, there's all kinds of new entrepreneurial opportunities to plug in, new waste hauling routes, new opportunities to create local food economies, new technologies to make what we're doing more sustainable and successful. And what we're doing also supports Loyola's sustainability initiatives and guiding principles, with a particular focus on environmental and social justice. Thank you, and I look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you, Jason. It's a very exciting activity or endeavor that you all have undertaken. We have a good number of questions here. The first couple are actually quite specific. So how many tons of food waste can the facility accept daily?
Sure. So we're an industrial scale facility, so we can accept very, very large quantities. Happy to talk offline on more specifics, but pretty much as much as you can send us, we can take. It is an industrial facility. As you can see, there are all the bay doors. Not only can we accept large volumes and have expansion capabilities, but we can accept waste in many different forms. So it could be on a tanker truck, it could be a flatbed truck, it could be a dumper truck, or just a traditional garbage truck. So we're keeping it very flexible, large capacity, so that we can really accept a variety of different inputs.
And then and you may have touched on this already, and I apologize, but can the facility accept landscape waste?
So we will. So typically you don't want to put landscape waste in a digester. We really like to focus on, produce waste, meat waste, dairy waste, things like that. Green waste, like wood chips, we typically blend at the back end. So after the compost comes out, we'll typically blend with the green waste after it comes out of the digester to bulk up the product and use in urban farming operations or other applications, depending on where that compost is going. So yes, we can take it, but that's more on the back end and won't actually go through the digester.
Okay. And how long has it actually been operational?
So we're not operational yet. We hope to be operational early next year. So early in Q1 2022.
Okay, great. So we have a question from James. What are the opportunities and barriers associated with scaling up your concept to make the natural gas, energy, and compost more widely available and in much larger quantities? I imagine a question you get often, but that's...
Yeah, it's been a challenge. This project has been a long time in the making. It really started with our need for more compost in the urban farming operations, and that really being a bottleneck to our expansion. The volume you need, and even if you just have a standard city lot, 25 by 125, the volume of compost that you need is tremendous. And when a school would come to us, a church group would come to us and say, hey, we've got a parking lot or a side lot we want to use, compost was often the most expensive piece. So there was a lot of challenges in terms of scaling up the project, in terms of there just wasn't anything like this, even though it's a safe and proven technology in terms of anaerobic digestion. And, the digesters are all over it, typically at wastewater treatment plants. Something like this, where we have a model of, utilizing just food waste as the input, creating a really high quality compost, took time in terms of educating folks, in doing. And then also educating the folks who are going to be diverting to us. What does this mean? How does this differ to maybe typical composting operations? The nice thing about ours is that we can take those mixed waste. We often saw that contamination was the biggest impediment to folks pivoting from, sending it to a landfill to composting. The fact that we can take protein waste and dairy waste at our facility and capture that because it's all being processed in an enclosed, sealed container. So just really every step of the way, it's been an educational process, working with the community closely and being part of actually the community development plan of the community to educate them, to provide understanding what we're doing there and the benefits and then the direct connections. SIMEON's actually part of the planning of the educational facility. So it's really been a step-by-step process, as well as for the energy and just educating utilities on what is renewable natural gas. Frankly, a lot of utilities weren't even aware that that was a product out there and that was possible. I think that was earlier on. People now are really excited about it, are really supportive of it. And this has really just been in the last few years of sort of awareness growing on what we're doing and people seeing the opportunities of, hey, there's this incredible wasted resource called food waste out there that we need to capture and use because there's all these benefits that we can utilize with it.
Great. Keeping with the topic of community, we have a question regarding in what ways can community members become owners of the business or partners or et cetera?
Sure. So, that they can be sort of part of the project in many ways. Please reach out to us on specific questions on that. So we're happy to always entertain that. But it's, we will be taking volunteers, educational opportunities, different partnerships. We're talking to lots of different folks. So there's lots of different ways to plug into the project depending on your interest level and how you'd like to engage. So I'd suggest just come to our website, greenairchicago.com with your interests, and we'd love to talk with you.
And then relatedly, we have a question about how folks can basically source, if you will, Green Area. In particular, what is the best way for manufacturers to contact Green Area to set up material delivery?
Sure. I'd suggest, come through our website, just reach out to us there. In the subject line, just specify, what your interest is, but we're talking with lots of food and beverage manufacturers, distributors, hotels, schools. Folks want to divert, and it's often been that issue of, hey, they've got to train their employees. They can't put this in. We're trying to make it really easy, and folks have been really responsive to that. So please reach out to the website. We'll be operational, early next year. So this is a great time to start talking to folks so that they can plan accordingly as they renew contracts or as they want to educate their own haulers. How we can work together and divert their waste, as well as folks who are interested in purchasing renewable natural gas. There's opportunities there. So folks that not only are interested in sort of recycling their organics, but want that whole story. And that's important to a lot of their customers. So they can say, hey, what? Let's say I'm a cookie manufacturer. I've got off-spec product or contaminated product. I want to recycle that, keep it out of a landfill. I then want to utilize some of that renewable natural gas to maybe heat my ovens that I'm baking those cookies. And then maybe purchasing from our nonprofit some mint that we're growing with that to really tell that circular story in a really meaningful way. That's not greenwashing. This is real. This is impactful. You can come see it. And folks, I think, are really gravitating towards that because there is so much confusion around recycling, around sustainability, that something very tangible like this, really resonates with companies and their customers.
Great. A colleague of mine who I know is a fan of aerospace has a question about whether your product can be used as sustainable aviation fuel.
Possibly. That one gets a little bit more complicated, but there are folks utilizing biogas for that. I'd say that's a later phase and one of the R&D opportunities around it. So we are looking into it, but not currently.
Okay. So I know that, and we've spoken about this, that you have a long partnership, or we're developing a partnership between Loyola and Green Area. Are you doing things with any other universities in the area, or do you have ideas for other engagements?
Yeah, so STEM education is a really important component of ours. So, we're really excited to work with all types of schools, whether it's high schools, whether it's, secondary education. Again, around the R&D, around the STEM curriculum, we really want to build a STEM curriculum that serves as a stepping stone for, young kids in high school, in grade school, to really begin to put those stepping stones together to really excite them for careers in this field. So we are very open to working with different universities on different aspects. Different universities have different, focuses and initiatives that they're prioritizing, and we're finding, that's really complementary. So I think there's lots of opportunities to work with different universities. We're talking with a lot of universities, and frankly, students are just incredibly excited. I mean, just as an example, when we did the tour of Loyola a number of years ago with a local high school in Auburn Gresham called Leo High School, the STEM educators thought, maybe there'd be 5 or 10 boys who'd be interested in coming. We filled an entire school bus with kids, and they had to actually turn away kids because so many kids were just so interested. And the questions they had and the engagement and the follow-up was just incredible. So I think, kids are innately interested in this, get this, and know this is the future. So we're just really excited to work with any and all, educators who want to learn more, who want to help create that STEM curriculum to really build that pathway.
Yeah, that's great. I can certainly, and I think we've talked about this offline before, but food security in general is a big issue on Loyola's campus, and I know that many of our students, anecdotally speaking, volunteer at food banks and food pantries, and food waste in general is of course an issue that our students, and I'm sure the students at other universities, see as very important as well. Maybe you could take a step back and talk a little bit about how this whole partnership or your initiative engagement got started.
Sure. It really started around work with Urban Growers Collective and the nonprofit that does urban farming. And really from their expansion and success of that nonprofit, where the city really saw the impact they were having. City, I think, there's lots of different figures, but up to, I think, about 9,000 vacant lots that the city has. And they're just staying vacant, trash is collecting. It's sort of a depressing sight to see. And Urban Growers, typically works on sites owned by the city, by the county, and really takes those sites that often are contaminated and, puts down compost, grows on top of that in the healthy compost. So they do it in a very safe, effective, proven manner. And they saw the impact it was having on the community, on food access, on education, on really bringing people together, as well as, we've also seen, crime go down in the area. So we're really seeing those direct connections. And the city has really been supportive of that and said, hey, listen, we want more urban farms. We want more local compost produced, so we're not importing in them from elsewhere. And the impact that has on the environment and economically as well. And so really the city came to us a number of years ago and said, what do we need to do to scale up composting in an urban environment? It's really tricky to do it in traditional composting where you just sort of let it sit outside in static piles in an urban area. And really the way to do it is anaerobic digestion in that sealed container, and really, looking into what they were doing in Europe very successfully for decades and decades, and really seeing sort of models like this, but not all together, where you had all those pieces together. And that's really what we want to create here, where it's sort of the educational component, the processing component, the farming component. We really wanted to pull all that together on the campus, and that took a lot of time, and finding, frankly, a site that was large enough to accommodate it in an area that, already had similar activities going on. We're next to actually the only minority waste hauler in the city of Chicago. So really finding that, as well as, working with a community that wanted this, which was part of the big community planning process that we did many, many years ago, and saying, hey, this is sort of part of the community plan, getting feedback. What did the community want to see? And really folding all of that in. So it really took quite a while to put all this together, and then also to get it at the scale that we need. We find that composting and recycling is a very sticky behavior. So once you start doing it, you sort of get into it, particularly kids, and folks want to do more of it. And the worst thing you can do is start something and then stop it because there's too much adoption on it. So we really wanted to create a facility that could scale, that could accommodate the kind of volumes of organics that we have in the city, in an urban area, and doing it in a really effective way so we could build on this success, expand, replicate, so that hopefully one day in Illinois and Chicago and beyond, we can be recycling most of our organic waste. So it's been a long process, but we're really excited, and sort of stars have aligned in a lot of different ways. But I think awareness right now is particularly high of the importance of projects like this, and really helping our communities, creating food, and also helping the environment.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I really appreciate the efforts that y'all have put towards this, as well as your time in coming and presenting it to us today. So thank you, Jason. And that will be
pleasure.
the end of this session. As a reminder, our next session starts at 9:40. As you already know, please enter the auditorium and you'll be able to see a link to that session. So thank you all. We'll take a 15-minute break.
Thanks for all your questions. Take care.